Hey guys, it's me again. Workstar, what if? Where I last left off? Let's see. Checking. Where I last left off, pretty much Deku and Elizabeth started running. Yeah, Jack just happened to cross them while they were chilling in this one town. And Deku and Jack having made eye contact, and the situation went complete. I wouldn't say complete foobar. It's just that Deku reacted on the moment, seeing that, well, it's either fight an entire group of people, go with Jack, leaving Elizabeth alive, but he knows Elizabeth would probably not do that, considering, as though it's short time, as I've said before, they sort of have a mother and son relationship about them. Or brother and older sister. As Deku and Elizabeth are running through the jungle with Jack hot on their trail. Deku's like, "Come on, Elizabeth, we can do it." She's like, "Yeah, Deku, I know." She's like, "Alright, think you got an idea?" It's like, "Well, I don't think I can beat Jack in a one-on-one. It's gonna take both of us to do it, I think." Like, that maybe, like, how strong would you say he is? Well, before we got here, he said he had been in the fight pits for a few years. He had won pretty consistently. It's like, alright, got an idea. As she jumps off his back, she says, "Keep heading forward, I'll try to keep up." As Jack, sees Deku as he starts screeching at him, saying that Deku can't run away forever, as Deku says, "Watch me!" As he keeps running, as Jack starts trying to use ice, but it can't really catch up to Deku. I'm trying to hold back yawn, so sorry if you hear me go "ee" like a deeper voice. Unexpectedly. Sorry. But Deku is running as hard and for as long as he can. As he's like, "I hope Elizabeth's plan goes so well." She's like, "Alright, keep running, Deku. Keep running." Damn it, stop trying to yawn. Also, side note, guys, I may be bringing back What If Deku Was a Fallen very soon. I would actually like to know what you guys think about that. Since all this, interesting stuff that's happening in the season of The Chosen, with Kaito, I have been thinking of interesting situations I can put into this season alone, let alone the last season and the expansions that have come from it. I'm talking with a guy. He and I have discussed situations to add some interesting plot points. If you see this, my friend, I know you'll probably like it. Or I hope you like some of the ideas I'm coming up with, I'm gonna try to talk to you about. But as I digress, Deku eventually gets into a cornered place as he tries to climb up the wall, but then quickly Jack swoops down and does a twirl as he slams into Deku's back as Deku falls back to the ground. As he's like, "Alright," recuperating as he jumps back, turns to the side and looks for something as he sees a rock as he pretty much jumps over there and throws it up as Jack pretty much dodges out of the way. He's like, "Come on, Deku. You and that little girl, you and that woman will be fine if you just come along quietly. Now don't make me say it twice." Deku's like, "Oh, suck it." As he's like, "Oh, you've gotten bit in the mouth, haven't you?" He's like, "Oh, eat crap." As he's like, "Wow. Man, that woman must be a really bad influence on you," as he lets out a chuckle. He's like, as he takes it, wait, where is she? As then he feels slicing across her back as she is using her dual blades. She's like, "Son of a, that little bitch." As he goes to try and slice and stab at her, Deku takes his opportunity as he shrinks down in size. As he grows one of his spikes and throws it at him. Sorry about that. he's seeing the opportunity, makes a move, and that move is to try and try to throw the spikes into his wings as well. Trying to do this is not very successful. It does work once, but then he quickly just starts flying all around as he keeps on throwing ice. Deku's like, damn it, how are we gonna deal with this, Elizabeth? She's like, I don't know. Just keep focusing and keep trying to wear him down. He's like, my boys are catching up with us as we speak. Ain't nothing you gonna do to stop us. As Deku jumps all around, as he's like, think again, asshole! As he uses his wings that he can fly. He just doesn't do it a lot. As he uses his wings to give him a bit of a flight, as he is able to tackle Jack, and is able to wrestle him to the ground, but Deku is a bit smaller than Jack. Like, a little bit smaller. Yeah, I believe nerrgegante is bigger. So as he, has him and is wrestling on Jack's back and, biting into him, Jack actually jumps up and sort of is able to get a bunch of ice around, as then he turns around and starts slamming Deku into the ground as he drags him along the floor. Eventually, with the people with the quirks coming over, Deku, as he's trying to recover, is immediately shot out with a bunch of weaponry by a few of the guys, as Elizabeth goes and tries to help, but Jack's like, you're mine now, as he tries to start attacking her. As she is a decent hunter, but Jack, like I've said, is also a decent fighter. He may have not wanted to fight, let's say, Wilford. Yeah, Wilford is the name I gave him. Wilford? Yeah, it's Wilford. But he wouldn't have been afraid to take on Tai, which I believe is the Tigrex's name. I called him Tigrex. Well, not Tigrex, called him Tai, I believe. And Wilford, Jack knew he couldn't fight Wilford purely based on that Wilford was an absolute beast, even compared to monsters. So, he takes his confidence and actually is able to sort of hit Elizabeth a lot of the time. As in, Deku, is being torn down a little bit, as he has guys with a few different forms of quirks stabbing into him and trying to bring him down. He actually, in a reaction after seeing a guy, lunging for his eye, sort of opens his mouth and snaps the guy in his jaw as he crunches down and shakes around and throws him. As it's like, what the fuck? As he's like, boss, we just lost a man. As he's like, what the hell do you... As he looks over and sees the guy as he is... Teeth. Pretty much the guy is dead on spawn. As Jack's like, oh... Didn't realize the kid had that in him. As he's like, well, Deku, either give up now, or as Elizabeth slices into Jack's face, as Jack's like, son of a bitch, as he is actually able to bite onto her leg as she's trying to roll away, as he actually bites down deeply too, as she lets out her scream, as Deku's like, Elizabeth, as he tries to shake these guys off. They're starting to overwhelm him a little bit, as it's like, well, I was gonna say she would be free to go, but you know what? As he pretty much shrinks down and actually just sort of says, hey, well, he doesn't say hey, he actually reaches into his side, as he does have a gun, is what I would say kind of makes sense, that he can't just always be in monster form, and nor would he transform in an open city, unlike that other madman that attacked them while they were, in the city. So he actually does have a weapon, as he pulls it out and pretty much just shoots Elizabeth right square in the chest. As Deku sees this, it's like, now Deku, come along quietly, or... As Jack, for a split second, actually, as everyone takes a small second to realize, Jack just made the worst decision he could have ever made in his entire fucking life. As Deku lets out a roar, as his spikes start to grow more rapidly, as he's like, he doesn't scream out anything, he just lets off a roar as he smashes into the guys, impaling them on the spikes. He then takes his tail and whips it around, pretty much bashing a guy so hard he flies into a tree and just a crack. As the tree sort of breaks in half and the guy's just unconscious, if not dead. Jack just sees 4 of the men he's had for a little while be taken down. And he brought decent people, not just like new recruits. As Deku rushes at Jack, Jack starts to transform. But before he can even get into full transformation, he just bites down on Jack's chest, as he has grown pretty big at this point, and just starts ripping and tearing into him. To a point where Jack just starts before he can even finish his word, Deku just brings back his arm and smashes it into the ground, putting a giant hole in his entire ribcage, pretty much. As Deku comes down from this little rage, he looks over and sees Elizabeth. As he rushes over, as he can see she's still breathing, he comes over and like bends down to look at her in the face, as it's like, hey Deku. As Deku's like covered in blood at this point, but she's like, oh kid, you got all dirty. Ah, damn it, when have I told you about trying to stay clean? He's like, I know, Elizabeth. Come on, we gotta get you somewhere. She's like, sorry kid, that ain't gonna work out. Got me pretty good. Besides, even that, my leg probably would have bled out by my leg. Surprised I ain't dead yet. As he can tell her breathing shallow. As it's like, come on Elizabeth, as he sort of, she's like, hey Deku, come here. As he, can you help me help her a little bit? As he pretty much brings her close to him. It's like, alright. As she takes her 2 swords and says, take this kid. On me. So, what? He's like, take these. As Deku's like, alright, I will, but why? He's like, they were mine. It's like, so, what happened? He's like, I got sloppy. He nods his head, and she's like, oh, you sure gave me a fuck of a fright. Never expected to see that in ya. But still, you did good. As she pats his face, like, as she rubs it a little bit, he's like, sort of lets out like a nice little monster groan, you could call it, as she's like, oh, don't be sad for me. This has been a long time coming. It's been a while since, somebody was actually able to do it. Ugh. But remember, Deku, you're a good kid. Make your way towards the cities and you'll do just fine. It's like, alright, Elizabeth. She like grabs his face one more time and sort of pinches cheeks. I knew you'd get me killed, but that was something I was willing to let go of. Do well, kiddo. Don't let that dream of yours stay a dream. Make it a reality. For me? He's like, I will, Elizabeth. She's like, no, it's funny. Hey, if you ever... So, as then she falls unconscious, Deku's like, as he starts weeping, as he sort of transforms into like what I would call a second degree, he lets out a roar that echoes through the jungle as people all the way back at the place, and the guy that Deku and Elizabeth started getting along with, I forget if I... No, wait. Yeah, they were there, and that guy is there, I believe. Actually hears the roaring, and people can tell that it isn't rage or anything, it's just sorrow. as they actually feel sad themselves from listening to it, as they're like, as the one guy's like, guess the kid and the woman lost. As Deku gives her a nice little rave, he leaves Jack and the rest of their corpses to just lie about. As he continues forward, he's like, I'll do it for you, Elizabeth. I'll continue marching forward. Taking large strides forward, he's like, I may not be able to become a good person. Well, I may not be able to become a good person. I'll strive to be the dream that I wanted, to become a great hero. Maybe I'll even be able to become a huntsman. I'll do everything I can to make you proud, Elizabeth. And make sure your dreams for me and the dreams for myself do not become unfulfilled. As he rushes deeper into the forest, taking Elizabeth's... He even took her slinger, as she did show him how to use it. Oh, I believe he has one already, but he takes hers as like another thing, as now he's got dual grappling hooks. Dual grappling hooks, as he uses it to like sort of swing around in the jungle. He's like, I gotta keep moving forward for Elizabeth and Ty. As scooch over, we see a guy, as Ty's fighting in a ring. He's like, damn these ingrates. When I get out of here, I'm gonna rip off Ty's fucking head. As he smashes through another group of enemies, he's like, they'll be fighting in these damn pits. As he sort of shakes it off, as eventually it goes... As there's a bunch of explosions, as a group of people come running down, it's like, hey, there's a monster on there. As they're like trying to... Some of them are about to shoot at Ty, but he's like, don't shoot! I'm a prisoner here! As it's like, he's sentient. Start focusing on the other hostiles then, as he's like, get a team down there, check on his as they notice the collar around his neck, as it's like, it's one of those. But hopefully we can get this whole area secured. As they finish securing the area, Ty actually is getting asked a bunch of questions like, who are you, where are you from, and how did you get here? As he answers them, saying that he's Ty and he was in Australia with a group of monsters that had escaped fighting pits just like these, and that he was sold here by one of those who escaped. As one of them says, man, sold out by your own? That's a bitch. As he's like, yeah. Anyways, where am I? How'd I get here? He's like, oh, okay, first off, you're in Africa. Wait, really? He's like, yeah, there's quite a few of those on these illegal fighting pits here. Especially since Africa is a dangerous place. An even more dangerous place with the different variations of monsters that roam around. They say that, yeah, we're pretty deep in territory that's typically unexplored. Or if it's been explored, nobody really tells the tale, since, you know, monsters and going this deep into a forest is typically a suicide mission, unless you're some of the very few that actually make it out here. It's like, I see, wait, have you heard about a kid named Deku? He's like, we've seen kids being sold in this place, but not a kid named Deku. He has green hair, freckles, anything. It's like, sorry, we don't. As it's like, damn it. As he like takes a seat, he's like, damn it. Then all I can hope is that he got away. Like, hey, listen, we got a few more places to hit. Well, yeah, they got a few more places to hit. We're gonna have you meet up with our evac team. They're waiting around, our evac units. They're gonna get you out of here and get you to someplace more civilized. As he's like, alright, thank you. He's like, it's no problem. Just stay safe. As he pats him on the back. Alright, come on, reload, regroup, and well, then we'll be sent out again. As Tai sits there like, wonder what happened with Deku. As we skip forward several months, Deku's been going by the pits and has been living in the jungle instead of in those makeshift cities. As he enters the makeshift cities to fight in the pits, but that's about it. As we skip years ahead, not just months, as he has honed his skills to a fine edge. He's become a master of the dual blades, and using the grappling hooks, well, that's even better. He swings around like Spider-Man. Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. But in this case, it's nerrgegante. Nerrgegante does whatever nerrgegante can. He's also a master of two weapons. But yeah, he runs around and such, and uses the grappling hook to great effect. As one day when he's in one of the fighting pits, as he isn't aiming for any form of championship this time. He's merely aiming to survive and live. So one of these days, he comes across a really illegal one where there are slaves or people have been sold in slavery. Deku walks in there as it's like, welcome people. Hello, good people of the forest. Tonight is a special event. We have Izu, a kid from nowhere, as he has become to be known as the Wild Man. Or the Forest Child, or something like that, as people just say he showed up and then he just lives off in the forest. As Deku, sort of just stands there, as he is quite tall, as I'll say he's around... Yeah, he was 12, 13, I'll say 14. Well, 14, yeah. 4 years. As Deku sort of raises up his arm in somewhat of a salute, you could say. Everyone's like, yeah, I remember this kid. I was over in this one city. He tore a thing to shreds with his dual blades. As it's like, yeah, I saw him use his monster powers a bit. This is like, oh really? It's like, as they're all talking, then it's like, in the next corner we have a very dangerous beast of our own. As they describe it as what it is the shoot, I keep on forgetting these things, stupid names. As I remember the name, let me give you an example. Or a thing to show you more about, since if any of you know about this monster, you'll be like, wait, are they just fighting on dirt or something? There's a large lake that they've pretty much been able to commandeer, as there's very little other wildlife, aside from normal fish and such, that reside in this lake. Other big monsters come around every now and then, but that's when they pretty much take betting matches to see if the monster will actually fight, or it will cower in fear. The monster that comes, as there's it's here, as they're starting to shout, as it's Legiacris, as the picture should be up now, as the Legiacris, something like that, lets off its roar. Deku's like, oh bitch, as this thing is 76 feet long. I was looking at the wiki for the Monster Hunter fandom, and I took the smallest number. I think the biggest number was 3,333 centimeters, which I translate to feet. So I went with the smallest one, which was 2,330, which was 76 feet. So yeah, it's not big, it's not small, but it's nowhere near as big as it could get. So when it comes to this, Deku sizes it up. He's like, alright, as he cracks his neck, draws his sword, He's like, alright, let's dance, big fella. As he goes to charge in, ready to kill this thing. As I'm not gonna end it off with cliffhanger this time, I'm gonna give you a fight. As Deku jumps up and sort of uses his grappling hook, as he uses it to snag on the creature, as he starts slicing down its body. As he's sort of spinning around and cutting deep, the Legicris goes to try and shake him off as it goes into the water somewhat. As he's like, alright, cracks his neck. As people are like, take this kid, they give him a rebreather as he dives into the water. As people do have cameras underwater. As is actually swimming pretty well, and he's going all around. He's like, glad I was able to learn how to swim. So he keeps on trying to carve into this creature's face, body, and everything. As then he's able to get close to the face and actually slices around it. Keeps slicing and slicing, causing this thing to bleed severely. As he's like, as he's dodging some of the moves it throws at him, as he has to be very careful, as it is faster than typical. As he dodges right to left, it actually throws, as it goes deep down and actually smashes into like a rock or something. As it uses this opportunity, as it spins around and uses its tail and flings the rock at Deku, he's like, oh shit. As he tries to dodge back and forth and tries to dive under it. As when he goes to dive under it, the Legicris rushes at him and actually tries to eat him. But he, somewhat in that very close time, he switches on his monster powers and actually tries to keep its jaw open, trying to succeed. As he starts slicing into its mouth, he actually stabs up into the roof of its mouth as it throws him away. He loses one of his swords in this, as he's like, damn it, gotta get that back. As he starts doing a more desperate and vicious approach, trying to stab and stab and stab, as he's able to get back to the mouth and rips it from the roof. As he decides to put his swords away, as he grows his armor and weapons, as he launches into another thing, stabbing into it and trying to rip and tear as much as he can. As on the surface, unbeknownst to him, it's like, woo, and like helicopters, and then they see a dragon smash down as she smashes through, as it's like, everyone hands in the air, or you're being arrested, or we will authorize or used to use deadly force. Everyone goes into panic, and so they try to run away. Unbeknownst to Deku, who's having this battle to the death with this creature, actually ends up being, as it rushes him as they go onto land, as before, like, everything was getting wrapped up with Ryu and all them, as when they're like, yeah, everything seems to be doing fine, but, everything could be better. For instance, what were they watching? As when they had the power cut off to these people, as to stop them, as Deku at that moment, as they're coming out on land, Deku finishes the creature off by jumping down, and as he pretty much tried to punch it in its jaw, he was somewhat successful, or not jaw, but punch it in its face. As then he jumps up off it, as the creature looked up to go and try to snap at him, he used his grappling hook to sort of pull himself down, as he sliced down the entire Legicris's body, pretty much from the tip of its chin down all the way. It's just red. As he finished with a spin to the ground, as everyone's like, oh my god. As Ryu's like, that was something. As Deku takes a second, as he looks around and he's like, oh shit. As everyone points their guns at him, he's like, hey, I'm an innocent in all this. He's like, you're fighting in these pits. He's like, I ain't got much choice, ma'am. As he pretty much puts the swords away, it's like I was almost sold in slavery, but I was able to escape. Been living here in these jungle ever since, so you can't really blame me. As it's like, didn't you try to head to the city? He tried, but anytime he almost got, when he was getting close to an area, the group that wanted to sell him would show up and just come out of nowhere. As she's like, she's like, as Ryu can't tell why, but she sort of likes the kid and actually feels kind of scared of him for unknown reason. As, you know, she's a dragon and such, but she isn't a real monster. Quirk just allows her to turn into something similar to a dragon. As it's like, listen, kid, put the weapon, my weapons are put away. If you allow us to take your weapon, he's like, no, they belong to an old dear friend. She's like, alright then. Well, if you come along with no problems, take you back to the city and we'll figure out what to do with you. As he's like, alright. As he puts him away, as he, like, lines up easily, in fact, surprisingly, as she expected him to be more on guard, but in his mind, he may seem on guard now, but the truth is he is more on guard than ever, because he realized that the closer that victory seems, it's also as likely that it can be ripped away in an instant. So he's ready to, like, defend himself to the death if it comes to it. As he goes with Ryu, no problem. But hey, that's where I'm going to be leaving it off as. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Hope you guys continue to enjoy this. I hope you guys have a nice day, nice night, nice life.